GM. Happy Tuesday, everybody. How are we feeling today?
We already had a full day. It feels like I've been on 4 shows already.
Yo.
Awesome. Well, you always are.
Bro, he doesn't even tell us. I just wake up. I'm like, oh shit, Adam's on. All right, let's lock in.
Chatting AI, man. Chatting AI.
Right.
It's funny you get invited to this stuff and you're just hearing all this different, I don't know what some guys doing like a ETF of Solana projects. Sounds like a terrible idea to me, but people are doing stuff, and who knows, man? Who knows where this stuff goes? So it's fun, man.
Who knows where it's going? I saw today. So the first thing, we have so much stuff going on. Every day I wake up, there's like literally 30 new DMs. I'm trying to find this tweet. The first thing that everyone was throwing at my face this morning was some sort of company that's creating a migration platform or something like that. Let me see if I can find this.
Yep.
Which is actually a team. We actually talked with them as well. So let me pull it up here on the.
I must have missed this. Pull it up.
Pull it up. Put it
Another
on.
launch pad. Well, it's basically a launch, as far as my understanding goes. It's the launch pad. So launch pad to compete with Pump and Bonk and the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but they're, they want to layer in a migration tool as well. So
I mean, it makes sense. If it's the same thing that we talked about last cycle, where we were like, every NFT marketplace is going to have an NFT bridge at some point in time. Now this is just the new version of it, is that every launch pad is going to have a migration tool at some point of some form, right? Whether it's their own tool or whether it's interoperable. So this this post was by Peaceful Decay. This is I believe the founder of Heaven Protocol, or Heaven Dex, I should say. So they said I think they were talking with somebody called Jargia. There's a bunch of followers. I don't know who that is. So they said that for a select group of token migrations, this is what they'll be doing. They'll be subsidizing the LP 1-to-1 for anyone who doesn't participate in the switch, so that the market cap doesn't open any lower than what it was trading at when the migration opened. Don't think the additional unmigrated supply should go back to the devs, though. This is pretty sussing to do as a migration tool. Damn, taking shots at us. Damn, right in the post, taking shots at us. Additional supply would be set aside in the contract for a month to accommodate stragglers, and then burnt, so the holder base would end up with the same exact proportion distribution that they had prior to the migration. 1-to-1 migration, no extra supply for the devs who initiated it, trading on God's AM. Damn, dude. Taking 2 shots at us after they had just talked with us, and we have a group chat with them. That's okay, though. You know, everyone wants to take shots at whoever the leader is.
It's funny to say that because the devs are the ones that would be choosing to migrate, and they would probably prefer to have the rest of the supply if they so choose to, right? Like,
but Chris, that's not fair. Chris,
like,
what about fair?
Well, we give the option, right? We don't even choose for them. They're choosing for them in the exact opposite direction of probably what they would choose to do. So wish them well. We're always happy to see more people building in the space. It's a very small space. They can get a lot bigger. So no hard feelings to them. Keep taking your shots, and good luck with the building.
Well, I think a lot of it is like the, this idea of a person or a team deciding what's best for everybody. Exactly. Just makes that boils my blood, right? Now, obviously, you have to make some choices about design and how you want to integrate and all that sort of stuff. But saying like, "Oh no, this is the only fair way," like, give me a break, bro.
Like the virtue signaling is pretty gross.
Yeah,
like, we're elitist. We're better than everyone. We're going to make the decision for you because you're not responsible enough to make it yourself. Like, that's pretty gross.
Yeah.
So I did look at like their doc. So one of our community members wanted us to talk with them last week or 2 weeks ago. It was before they even had the light token. And I was looking through it, and so they're basically taking on, I guess you would say, Believe, but they're building the full stack. So they offer a AMM. So they offer liquidity pool, as well as they do offer the kind of swaps. And they have something that they call the God Flywheel. So it says that 100% of the revenue earned by Heaven as a protocol goes back towards buying back light from day 1 onward. So they have like 100% flywheel. This is something similar to what Bonk does. Bonk Fund, they take 50% of their revenue and buy Bonk and burn it. Here, they're going back to just do 100% buybacks at this point in time. So just to keep that in mind. So as you go back here, right? So they asked us for, like, if we could integrate Heaven. And I told them that we were going through an audit and that it would take like at least a month to consider other options. And they said they needed something faster. And it's like, hey, makes sense. So I told them that we would circle back to it in a month. Once our migration stuff was done, or at least kind of full steam ahead. And so here they're saying, and I was posting this in the Telegram, the Hustle Telegram, and I was like, everyone was asking, and I was like, really read into, what they're saying here, and like actually kind of fully understand. So they're subsidizing the LP 1-to-1 for people who don't participate. So this means that if I'm just going to use simple numbers here. If they're migrating a $1 million liquidity pool and only 50% of the tokens migrate, they're essentially saying that they're going to cover $500,000 in LP for the team. But think about this. If all of their platform revenues are going to buying back the token itself, right? They're basically taking a portion of that $23 million in the ICO fund and basically using that and contributing it towards a select group of token migrations to that pool, right? So I guess the question is, I guess their thought would be, hey, we're going to subsidize this missing LP, and then maybe we make it back on the LP rewards. But the LP rewards are going to 100% of the LP rewards are going back to buying the token.
Did they pre-mine any of this token? Do they have a certain percentage of it?
I'm not sure. I think so. I know not all of it's distributed, so I'm sure they probably own a good majority of it. I think the FDV was like 200 million when I was looking at it. So they have a good amount. Obviously, then they'll have to sell it for the Solana. I'm just more thinking about, this situation, because this is something we've talked about for, I guess, a year at this point in terms of how to go about the migration. They're basically coming at us saying that for us giving the choice for the devs to do what they want with the token is wrong, I guess, right? Even though they're not really considering that if people are aware that it's a 1-to-1 migration, they don't have to participate, then they're not going to do anything, which means that they're going to have to end up subsidizing more for the LP because people are not participating. And then also to think about this, Solana also has this account model where you have to pay 0.002 Sol for every wallet that has never received a token. So if you're migrating a project that has 20,000 holders and you have to basically, and let's say only 10,000 of those people participate, you have to pay 0.002 per times 10,000 wallets just to send them the token themselves, which would come out to what? That's like 500 Solana or something like that. Or maybe 50 Solana. Maybe it's 50 Solana.
Either way, it's a lot.
But right, so now you're spending, what is it, $10,000 or whatever it is on just sending them the tokens, and now you have to also subsidize the portion of the LP. So I'm interested to see how they do it. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just competition is bullish. It's better for the users. It makes every team work harder, sends the fees closer to zero. So it is more of a benefit. And we'll find out in real time what works and what doesn't.
Facts.
If the model of subsidizing LP to then earn rewards later on is more effective, then it's something that we'll consider in time. But I guess we won't find out until then. I also just know the nuances of building a migration platform is quite difficult. It's not as easy as what everyone thinks it's going to be.
If you've never done a migration before.
It reminds me of, I had a conversation with a big AI projects lead dev. And we were talking about, this is very early on in Hustle and very early on in this project as well. And I mentioned to him, I was looking to, hey, can we collab? Because you have some funding. This might be wise to collaborate. And he's like, well, why would we collaborate with you? And I was like, well, we're the #1 NFT bridge, and we have this technology to take NFTs to all blockchains. He's like, oh, we have that too, I think. And I was like, oh, you think you just have that? You think you just spin that up?
It's in the back pocket.
People are literally, and it's incredible how siloed people are. They literally they just think, oh, I can have the idea. Of course I can make I literally had people the other day in a Discord that I won't discuss saying that they could vibe code Emblem Vault.
Yeah, just like
bro, what are you?
Lunchable, like a Feastables Lunchable, and maybe like a Capri Sun.
People are insane.
Like 14 hours, and you're good to go.
Literally insane.
Yeah.
This is pretty funny though. Like again, we've been trying to get people to build in crypto for like almost a decade. So anyone that wants to build in crypto, like please have at it, and anyone's welcome. But one of the issues with things like this, not issues, but just like obvious like realities, is that they're building a migration platform for people to migrate to their platform, a migration platform for people to migrate to their protocol. And so they need to get people to want to migrate to their protocol for their migration platform to even have any sort of drive or any sort of success. So we're a neutral third party that you can migrate to pretty much any platform that you want to, and you have a lot more custom parameters. So although it could be looked at as a competitor, I look at it as like additive for the industry and just more evidence that Migrate Fund is building in the right direction.
Yeah, so they're not the first ones to take shots at us, right? Meteora was the first one who is in communications with us now, right? Like it's just like, when people are fearful, the first thing that they do is become competitive. And ultimately, we're just we're a third-party tool that can link up to anything. It is interesting being in a position where you could migrate liquidity to and from. So when you're interfacing with these teams, you can be seen as a competitor, but on the other side, we can also be completely additive as well.
Right.
So I think
And we're like so collaborative. Like we are willing to work with everyone. Like you said, you already have a chat with these guys. We literally talk to everyone. We're super transparent. So the shots are welcome, but we'd rather just work together to try and like build a bigger industry for everyone.
Yeah, I guess, everyone has to create an edge at some point in time. I think taking any shots is kind of a low move, but you got to do what you got to do in a world that's hyper competitive, especially on Solana. So I don't think we just let the product do talking. And I think once the great migration wave starts and begins, when the people see the platform and all the people participating, they're gonna be like, holy fuck, this is much better than we actually anticipated. So
I mean, I think I was just gonna say that. Sorry to cut you off, Jake.
You're good.
In 21, if you think about the NFT cycle and just how Blur kind of ate OpenSea's lunch, there was basically zero friction for the person or people, holders of those NFTs to move, right? Here, there is a little bit of friction, right? And so obviously we've already built the product. Other teams will build products, but there is a bit of friction involved in moving from one launch pad to another, right? And I think what this is going to open up in the same way that Blur opened up, very low or zero royalties, this is going to do something similar. And it could get really interesting, right? These are big players with huge money, and it could get very advantageous for teams, as these platforms ramp up their incentive mechanisms. It could get really, really cool and interesting.
Yeah, when you think about it, right? It's like, so if you built your own native migration tool into the platform, what's the first incentive you do is you have to basically offer free migrations, would be like the first thing, right? So then on top of that, then people are going to need to want to migrate to your ecosystem. So you could see like a scenario where they offer free migrations. They're also subsidizing the non-migrated LP. So you're losing out on two profit areas to then try to make it back up in the trading fees to then buy Light token, which then they have to offload Light token to sell for Solana. So I just recommend people to kind of think about that. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Just this is the model that they have built at that point in time. So that's kind of the native model. Whereas us is a third party, we integrate in and out, one-time fee, and then that's kind of it. So bullish on migrations overall. Exciting time. We also started our audit yesterday, so this should be a few week process. This was at the request of pretty much everybody. So I know it's taken a few weeks longer, maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks longer than what we had initially anticipated, but it's going to be worth it. And it's also, one of the side effects of this is it's allowing other teams to kind of work through their own process. As you guys have seen, there's been multiple teams announcing per week. There's still maybe 3 or 4 teams who have signaled to us or told us that they want to participate. They're kind of still working through their community and exchanges and all these other processes. So it's giving them time to participate. It could be a very gigantic liquidity wave moving forward, but we will continue to update everybody. And got a lot of cool projects, man. In this post that I put out, or that we put out yesterday, we detailed all the migrations, at least the ones that are public so far. There's still a handful of other ones. And this post got a lot of attention. It had I think 20, 30, 50,000 views already. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was a good thread.
That was a good thread. People are excited. Adam, what's your take so far on, now we're 2 months into this build. It took us, I think, from finalizing the idea of the Migrate Fund platform to building it took us 3 weeks or so. So we're almost 2 months now into officially consistent development on this stuff. What is your take on Migrate Fund and migrations now 2 months later?
Just that it's much more complicated and nuanced than you'd think. That post you just showed from the Heavens founder or CEO, whatever, shows that he hasn't really talked with a lot of teams about it. Not to say anything negative about what they're trying to do over there, just that it's clear from that post itself that he hasn't talked to more than a handful of teams or any teams. Because you and I know from literally like the second conversation, our idea of what migrations would be was completely flipped on its head. Like people are like, oh no, but I want this, or no, but I want that, or I don't even care about the tokens, or I just want to be on Bonk, or any number of different nuanced things. We've now kind of worked through and actually modified our platform to fit into these things that made sense for teams. Like obviously like our our snapshot and claim tool and stuff like that. That sort of tooling was basically some of the early combos we had. So it's nuanced and takes time to work through. And I think it's set up really nicely for us. This is, we have some, as you said, a few teams working through with exchanges. This is the first time it's happened, right? So there are lots of details that need to be worked out. And these other guys, they'll run into that too. Like if they actually start having these conversations, it's, it's nuanced and there's a lot of, what do you call BD that needs to be done? A lot of hand holding to get this stuff done. I mean, it's a lot of the same questions, but then almost universally, these teams have unique needs and wants and asks, and it's working through all that stuff and then modifying the platform to make it actually meet some of these needs, which were obvious to us, kind of were going to be needed by a bunch of teams. So, I'm super psyched about it. It's incredible. Obviously the time why, of course we wanted it done a week ago, but honestly, most of these teams aren't ready, like fully ready, and so the extra time I think is good for certainly some of these larger teams.
It's funny even talking with some of these launch pads and LP providers when I'm kind of they're asking about integrations and you start going through the conversations with them and you bring up a bunch of points that literally they don't even have the answers to, which is like, I can't move forward unless you guys provide the answer to this. And they don't even have the answer to it. So makes me wonder sometimes like how the stuff was even built, but, yeah. Or just like how many people were actually involved and how compartmentalized the information is. Totally. And that's what I mean by BD when people are like, what does that mean? It's like, you literally have to have these conversations of, hey, we need this, and this. And so we need answers to these. And they're like, well, we only have answers to these. And then we're like, okay, well, now we have to go through this problem and solution conversation for these 2 points that nobody seems to have the answers for. So let's go dive into this conversation. And it goes deep, right? Like the conversations with Radium and Bonk went on for a month trying to figure out how to make it work, right? And obviously that gives a blueprint for the other stuff, but you look at like these different launch pads or these different LPs and exchanges and stuff like that, and it's all different. Every situation is different. So I just think like having the options is there. I don't want to, or we don't want to be in a position to choose 4 teams based off of what their preference is, because I'm not living in the situation in the world that they are today. And even today, this morning, got another request for some type of migration where they want the LP locked, even though they want access to the LP rewards. And you're like, well, I can't do both of these, but they're like, here's a tool to do this. And it's like, okay, well, I just turned in the audit, so you're gonna have to wait. And they're like, well, we need to do it now. And you're like, well, you got to choose one of these options, right? And it's like, that's just one of hundreds of conversations.
Literally. Hundreds. Like it's even just the idea, like very early on, a lot of the teams were like, oh no, we want to lock it, or just because that was the mindset. But once you actually talk to them about it, they're like, oh yeah, sure, we don't need to lock it. It's just there's a lot of learning, a lot of new people to crypto, who've only been here a couple of years maybe, or AI guys who've literally been here like 6 months, who just don't even know some of this nuanced stuff. So yeah, it's it's great. I love it.
The thing that I've learned is that the majority of people in the industry as of now need training wheels. And so that's why they want to go to these launch pads for social reasons, community, for, I guess, just like kind of novice understanding of how it all works. And eventually, and Chris talks about this a lot, once you get a taste of those LP rewards, and you're going to want to take the training wheels off, and you're going to probably want to migrate to your own pool. Obviously, that comes with a lot more responsibility. And when we got into the industry, 10 years ago, the thought was that everyone's going to have a non-custodial wallet and manage their assets. And now 10 years later, I'm like, that is probably 1 in 10 people now at this point.
Dude, it's like, I forget the conversation we were having, but somebody were like, oh, but if you go to your own pool, then you got to like set up the deck screener. You got to do the soul scan, and you just see the eyes glaze over, and they're just like, they don't want to do that. It's like, okay, bonk fun's perfect for you.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun and exciting times. Where does it land? I don't know. Migrate, though, and Emblem is this amphibious vehicle that has tentacles that could go anywhere. I mean, we're now talking to teams on base, and we haven't even started the base stuff yet, right? Getting introed into there. It's kind of the two-phase system of the hustle token and having 2 platforms. Like now, we got connected to Coinbase Ventures and to the base team, and now to in with Aerodrome and some of these other teams. And you're talking and interfacing with them initially through Agent Hustle. And then we're like, oh, we have this migration tool that's popular in Solana. Maybe you guys are cool for that. And they're like, oh, we like this better. Right. So it's like being Adam as a steak salesman in the 90s, going door to door selling steaks. And you're like, I got this New York steak, but I also got this Kobe beef, whichever one you want. I got everything you need.
That's it. And these migrations, I tweeted it the other day, but they're just going to get more popular. It's just going to become a normal thing. And when the narrative goes from why are you migrating your token to why aren't you migrating your token, if there's better opportunities on a different platform, on a different chain, on a different launch pad, and your community is kind of going to demand it. So it's a little taboo, and these first movers are really kind of taking a lot of the risk of being the first ones through the door, just like we did. There's risks in everything that you do, but they're willing to take the risk. They've calculated it and think that it's a better move for their own communities, and they have the right to make that choice, right? And so just for the mainstream narrative of how migrations are perceived today, it's going to get a lot better. It's going to be a lot more well received. It's going to be totally normal for tokens to be moving all over the place. It could actually get pretty crazy. Just imagine a highway of just tokens moving all over the place all the time, right? They asked yesterday what's going to happen with the platform after the first cohort, and it's going to be open for basically anyone to use, and so any teams can migrate without hand holding, without kind of a white glove service, and so you can just have teams activating that automatically all the time. So it's going to be pretty fun to watch.
Yep, their choice to do whatever they would like. So we'll continue to build. Hustle will continue to grow, and we'll continue to evolve in the industry. I guess, now the question is, and I was listening to a podcast yesterday. They were talking about the overall crypto markets, and they were like, yeah, the crypto markets have been down and ranging for 2 months. And I was like, damn, we're just so isolated. It's not share that same experience. But then I look around the timeline, and everyone's fighting again. I'm like, okay, this is we're definitely ranging now, because everyone is pissed at each other for whatever the reason is. So it makes me makes me question, I don't know, what's next? Do we just range? Are we waiting for these treasury vehicles to take their next leg up? People hate runes again for the 80th time. Who really knows what's going on here? I don't, is there anything that has caught your attention recently in the crypto world that maybe is gaining some traction?
No. We've had so much what in a previous cycle would have, I don't know, 5x Bitcoin or, more. The altcoins would have been running. We've had so much positive, legal news, and it's just been meh, shrug. It's amazing, but it's been it's just this weird cycle where it's a Wall Street cycle. People aren't on chain. Nobody's on chain. Like no new bodies are coming on chain. So it's kind of weird that way. Which hasn't been great for NFTs or kind of native digital items, because there's just like, it's the same, 2,000 people just cycling the money around. So I don't know. I really think for a real like next run, it has to be something that encourages new people in. And my gut says it's going to be something related to kind of what Base is doing, or what Robinhood's leaning into, which is like the stocks coming on chain. Like something like that feels to me like it has the opportunity to be big, because it's kind of a crypto Wall Street mix that could get kind of interesting. What it is, I'm not sure. I definitely haven't seen it yet, but it feels like something like that might happen. I don't know. I just don't see anything else other than the AI space. Like the show I was on earlier talking about the AI space. I think that could capture normies' attention. And maybe we get something around that. It feels like that's the real opportunity. Because the AI normies get the AI like argument for why this is a good, potential upside. But if we can link it to crypto again in a way that's really interesting, and I think there are a lot of builders out here doing stuff along with ourselves, like that has a real chance of running again, to get newbies in, get Main Street in. But I don't know. It certainly hasn't happened this cycle.
Yeah. Well, one thing that caught my attention today, which this has been like a long time in the making, is that Wyoming, the state of Wyoming in America, finally launched their stablecoin. And what's funny is I was looking, and I actually was tweeting about this a few years ago, almost exactly 2 years, that from when they first announced that there's stablecoin legislation to implementation, it appears that it's being powered by Layer 0, and it's called the Frontier Stablecoin, FRNT, the first stablecoin issued by a U.S. public entity. Wyoming has always been on the forefront for crypto legislation and governance, and continues to do so. They had legalized DAOs, or recognized DAOs as LLCs, I think like almost 10 years ago at this point. So they've been kind of really ahead of the game. Chris, what's your thought on a government-backed stablecoin? And does this just mean that we're going to be moving into a world where stablecoins are going to be commoditized by entities and less by, I guess, the federal government?
Oof. I think everyone's going to have their stablecoin. I think like it's an attractive business model in theory. I don't think everyone needs to have their own, and I don't think it'll work out for most of them. Like maybe Wyoming's going to keep their state treasury in it or something like that, or pay like, their wealth funds out of it, or maybe their utilities or something of that sort. But like no one's going to have this scale and assurances like something like Circle or Tether would have, right? So it's kind of like, man, we use the metaphor just so often, but like an intranet versus like an internet. Like, do I plan on using the Wyoming Frontier stablecoin? Like, probably not. I'll probably never touch it, right? But I mean, you have to give them credit for, being on the frontier. So that's cool. Innovating at the state level, which is like really, really cool in my opinion. When's the last time you saw like a new state doing something really innovative and different? So I have to give credit where credit's due there. But do I think that it's like impactful in like everyday life for even the citizens of Wyoming? Like probably not, but it's cool to see them doing something.
For sure. I'm wondering how, like, is the interoperability going to be there for them, right? Or am I going to have to figure this shit out? Like, this is the kind of thing with these stable coins. It's like,
oh, well, I guess it's a way of introducing this to normies, is what you're asking, right? How are normies?
Well, yeah. It's like if I want a stable coin, I mean, I'd gladly buy that one rather than USDC, but not if it's like any additional friction, right?
Really?
This needs to be zero. Yeah, because I'd prefer supporting them, like a state that I believe in.
Maybe it's like a local bank versus like a big bank branch.
Exactly.
Like a Chase Bank or like your local credit union.
Yeah. Like I'd much rather give them, my interest, whatever they're going to earn on that interest, than, I don't know, Arthur Hayes and Tether, right? Whatever you will. But I don't think people will do that if there's any friction. It has to literally be a seamless experience, right? I mean, I've talked about this with, kind of my normie friends. It's like, would I buy, a Kim Kardashian stablecoin for fun or flex or whatever? Yes, if it's the exact same experience, right? So yeah, I would do the Frontier coin if it's 100% seamless across all blockchains and I can use it everywhere. But I won't if it's a pain in the ass.
I just came across, so the Twitter account is WYO Stable. It's called the Wyoming Stable Commission. Then I went to the website itself. I love that they have to put the FRNT is currently not available for purchase. It's so funny that like crypto scams just even infiltrates like governments, and they have to be like, please.
I'm sure if we went on Solana right now, there are definitely meme coins already popped up.
100%. So it says the industry, so it says it's compliant with ERC20F. I don't know what F is. I've never heard of that one. So that's a new one. Token 2022 and OFT token standard. So what this tells me is all three of these standards, Solana and then the multi-chain one, are all complex token standards where you can apply different types of extensions to it. Like that's why I know token 2022 on Solana is that. I'm assuming that's what ERC20F is. And then OFT, that's the layer 0 multi-chain standard. It says it's backed by USD. It's had 2 audits, currently interoperable 7 chains, and it has 4 pilot program partners. But this is some of their partners include Layer 0, Fireblocks, those are 2 crypto networks, Franklin Templeton, Inca Digital, I'm not familiar with, or the network I'm not familiar with, but kind of cool to see that their governor, Mark Gordon, is on the stablecoin commission. So it's kind of cool to see. Anything else after this? I don't really see. Yeah, I guess the question is, how is this for, are they doing it for security? Are they doing it for just like experimentation on innovation? Or do they actually see like a revenue mechanism from this? Obviously, like Tether is insanely profitable, where USDC is not profitable, really. Like they're like very minimum. So I guess it depends on if they give this as like an option for paying your taxes, right? Or paying your property taxes, I should say, or, paying any type of like local kind of medium where they're just basically saying, instead of Visa getting this 3% on every charge, or maybe it's like 2%, they're just like, we're going to try to substitute this in somehow, and then we'll make the whatever it is, 0.5% or 1% or whatever they're trying to charge, which would be, I think, bullish for the states. If the states can replace Visa and MasterCard and they get those fees, that probably would bring down taxes in all these states and lead to a little bit more prosperous.
Nothing brings down taxes, Jake.
Yeah, I have no faith. I have zero faith in that happening. But
yeah,
I think these are just first movers. I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen hundreds already announcing stable coins. It just seems like a no-brainer.
I am impressed that it got done, and we don't really know the reason why it got done, because these things take so much work and so much convincing of like every state and local official. So I don't know what they sold them, or how they pushed it through, or how they managed to get it done, but it's impressive that they got it done. I think Paxos was building like a white label stablecoin, right? Didn't Binance USD use Paxos? Mm-hmm. It was like just a white label for the branding. I thought that was like a really good business model, because you have the assurances of like a big, large like corporate entity and the protections that come along with that in terms of like banking reserves and insurances, rather than like all of these small kind of one-off, maybe like more like mom and pop stablecoin shops, which seems a little bit sketch to me, but I don't know. It depends how big they get. Maybe I'm missing something.
I don't know did you guys see our what's his name? Carlo, our lawyer friend.
Yeah.
Has basically opened up shop for a as a stablecoin advisor. Really, really smart, I thought, on his part.
Love to see it.
Like you just know there's going to be so many, and who knows, with Wyoming, there are obviously some crypto nerds who live there, Charles maybe, and a bunch of others who've been really leaning in and putting these guys in the forefront. But it is kind of still surprising that they got it done so quickly. It's pretty awesome.
It's interesting that this was the priority. Like stablecoins are a big business, but like I'm in the state of Wyoming, and they're like, we need the Wyoming stable.
What else are you gonna do, right? This is like something you could do, and it can actually be like they're the first state, and it's kind of, I like it. if it was easy, I'd gladly buy theirs over USDC.
Like this isn't too far behind the Bitcoin ETFs, and Bitcoin is like a globally recognized store of value, and this is like a state-based. I don't know.
Yep.
So I don't even like at the state level. Remember the Bitcoin ETFs were having trouble passing for the reserves and things of that nature, but this seems to go through pretty seamlessly. So maybe we're missing something, but it's interesting to see. But crypto is taking over every facet of life. I think that's the takeaway.
Well, Chris, remember when we had Native Research? Was this 4 years ago? At this point, 4.5 years ago, when Chris and I were talking with the local regulators and government in Vegas and trying to explain. First, we tried to explain Bitcoin to them, and they literally the state treasury asked who the CEO was, asked who they talked to.
I mean, it was an uphill battle, like unbelievable.
Wow. Unbelievable. And even the casinos at that point in time, that's why we kind of stopped. They were just like, they didn't see it as like a business endeavor. They literally at one point told us that it was a marketing expense.
Right.
Because they did like an NFT kind of project.
I mean, the industry like a million light years in the last 4 years. Nobody was there. We were trying to sell the dream. Nobody wanted the dream. Nobody wanted to buy the dream.
Oh, it's amazing timing. It really is everything, man. In almost all businesses, timing is like, it's everything.
So Alan, let me propose this to you. If you were Wyoming and you were going to create a stable coin, what do you think the primary motive is? Because we don't know what the motive is. So what would you what if you were a regulator, what would be your indicators for, yes, let's do this? And then how do you turn it into something profitable or prosperous, I guess?
I think the primary motive is just to show how forward leaning they are. I think it's kind of like the Wyoming flex. You know, we all know a couple people who live in Wyoming, crypto native people, and it's that to a degree, that they're like a freedom state, which I think is bullish. You know, I think, makes people want to move there and live there, right? At least a certain type of person, right? And so I think it's that forward leaning. Will it provide additional revenue? Probably. So. Yeah, and if they can get wider adoption, it could be a huge home run, but we know that's fucking hard as fuck. Like, to get real adoption is hard.
Is it Caitlin Long that's from Wyoming? Is that right? I think so. And she was building Arcadia that was stuck in like the banking legislation for like 5 years, having to pay all the bills and everything like that.
Yep.
I mean, a extremely forward-looking person, meets all the qualifications, and basically the federal government tried to like bankrupt her out of existence from just waiting for licensing. They just kind of left it on hold while she sought OpEx. But yeah, I mean, she's a great titan of the industry. So hopefully she can, obviously I'm sure that she had a giant hand in this, and then hopefully at this point she can get Arcadia passed, because that'd be a great success story.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Do we even talk about Gemini got or is probably going to get listed? Did we talk about that?
Oh, they're public filing is what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where they were actually in the negative in their revenue. Do you see that? I think it was like they were like minus $10 million on the year, and somebody was like, "How the hell are you a not profitable exchange?" And
I've used Gemini. Their fees are high, like really high.
They had spent like, what was it? It was like $200 million in like employee fees or something like that, or in salaries.
Pickle boss need to make some money.
And they'd spent like $100 million in marketing, something like that. Just like, who uses Gemini at this point in time? I don't know.
I guess it's just like a venture-backed startup. You just market till you hit escape velocity, right? So not too surprising, actually, now that I think about it.
Do you think they'll find demand on the market just because the public markets for crypto right now are just like altcoin markets? Everyone's just going to buy anything. Maybe they're a little burnt out on treasuries, and they are more interested in like businesses, I guess. So there's like 5 or 10 companies I think have filed for IPOs. You got Gemini, Kraken. I think there was like, we saw Bullish just went public, which was Peter Thiel's company. I actually had no idea what it was. I had to look it up to see what it is. It's an exchange for institutions, apparently.
Huh. Okay.
So if you want to headlines like every few years, and everyone always says, "I don't know what that is," and they had like a giant raise at one point. Everyone was like, "Oh, I don't know what that is," but it just comes and goes. But I think that the play here is getting onto the public markets and then getting in these crypto ETFs. So like there's constant buy pressure from all these 401ks and retirement plans and things like that. So you have like consistent buy pressure. Because like you said, there's only like 10 crypto companies. So anyone that gets to the market is going to be automatically placed. And all those ETF games, that seems to be the play for me.
Are you buying? Are you buying all these?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, honestly, for most, friends and stuff, I don't even recommend they use Coinbase. I'm just like,
Yeah,
buy it in your 401k, buy the ETF, whatever. Don't buy native crypto. Sorry to say, but that's just the way. Like, I don't want people losing money. And so yeah, I don't think I'm kind of negatively bullish. I'm not bullish. I'm bearish on negatively bullish on exchanges. I honestly, I think Robinhood is like the kick ass in the space. They're kick ass in retail, and that's yeah. I think they're all gonna have a real hard time competing with Robinhood, including Coinbase. I just think Robinhood is gonna eat their lunch because they're better at product.
I'm bullish on Coinbase. I think that we still have like a few generational companies. Like I think Coinbase can be a $1 trillion company someday.
Sure.
They just have the vision. They have so much that can go right for them. They're like a titan of the space at this point. They're like a visionary. They've hit escape velocity, but I think that some of these other ones. I mean, I think it's always good like to look out for the next generation of companies, and I think that we're in that era now. And I don't think all of them will be, obviously,
Right.
but like I think Coinbase, like Robinhood, Circle. I'm interested in Circle a lot. Anything that you can kind of get exposure to the stablecoin business, things of that nature, and just buy the best and you sit on it for 20 years. You buy a Coinbase, you buy a Robinhood, you buy some Circle, sit on it for 20 years. I think that you'll do really well.
I mean, for example, I like Jesse. I like, what Jesse did. But do I think like Kraken itself is going to be able to compete against Robinhood? Like I see there's nothing on the timeline where I'm like, oh my God, these guys are really going to kick ass.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say they can't, but it just, it feels like Robinhood just has the best operator. Even in comparison to like Brian, like I just think like Robinhood's got the killer over there. That's what it feels like to me.
They're definitely larger. I'm really interested in their L2 to see how they build it out, because they're coming at it from a perspective of outside of crypto and having distribution, and that they're partnering with Arbitrum. So they've got some good assistance. And from the conversations I'd listened to with Vlad talking about the Robinhood L2, is that he had been friends with the Robinhood or the Arbitrum founding team for like quite a while. And so they've been kind of talking about this for years. Entities as well. And that I'm interested to see like what type of applications are built on top of it, how open they make it, and if there's actual business. Because I do think it sets up like a pretty good template for, hey, if Robinhood could come build an L2 for stocks, why don't I come and build an L2 for real estate, right? If you're like a major Web2 or traditional real estate company, or whatever these like kind of antiquated financial industries are. And so I do think that that's a good opportunity there. I think Robinhood's really going to crush it because they have a lot of degen support.
Yeah, it's interesting going to see how open they are to people building on top of them, right? So whatever perps, options, call options, all the rest of it, are they going to kind of allow that building to take place, or are they going to want to own the whole thing? My gut says they're going to want to own the whole thing, but we'll see.
I mean, think of it like this. So it depends on like what they're leaning into. So if they come in and they say like, our focus for the first few years is going to be tokenized stocks, all the application builders who are going to come in are all going to focus on tokenized stocks, right? And so you'll get the standard kind of applications like borrowing and lending and staking and all the kind of typical Ponzi ones. But you'll probably get some newer type of applications that leverage the value of tokenized stocks in some capacity that hasn't been done before. So it's kind of like what the new build is, to look for that like 0 to 1 application. It's kind of like with like Polymarket and prediction markets, right? Polymarket took off, then you saw the Kalshi, which is the traditional version. And now we're seeing a bunch of different Polymarket specific applications being built on top of it that had never been, that hadn't existed before in terms of like parlaying prediction markets, using AI with it, and etc. And so you're getting these like layers, and I think you'll see something similar like that with Robinhood. It just depends on, again, how open they are, because that's if you're bringing stock liquidity here, right? That's like literally trillions of dollars.
I mean, even if they're not open to it, for example, once it becomes a token, like that shit can move, right? Like it doesn't have to stay on that chain. So I don't know. Bullish Emblem vault here again. But seriously, if they're like, oh no, it's just a stock, there are no options, there's no fucking perps, there's no nothing with it. It's like, how long till somebody comes to us and is like, actually, let's just move a bunch of this off so we can fuck around with it, and that's totally possible.
Yeah, it's kind of like when World Liberty Fi was launching. There was a few people who are like, these are non-transferable tokens. They're like, well, can I just mint it to a vault and we could just start trading them? Like that shit happens literally all the time. You're gonna keep your stonk liquidity isolated into Robinhood shade. I don't think that'll happen.
And like, I don't know if they see these things coming. I'm sure that maybe they talk about them internally, like these unforeseen consequences of what they're building. But yeah, shit's gonna get pretty crazy.
Yeah, we
migrate that shit off of there, bro.
They're like, what is going on? Like,
where's our tokens all going?
All of your Robinhood tokens belong to Emblem Vault now.
We are in the world now institutionalization. I guess this just came out today, or literally this morning. SoFi, which is a pretty big traditional financial company, is partnering with LightSpark, which is a Bitcoin meta protocol, I guess you could say. So that was a little bit random. But LightSpark's backed by, I forget what that metaverse company is. Oh, Animoca Brands. And they're partnering together, SoFi and LightSpark, to launch international money transfer service. So it says it's going to be, SoFi will be one of the first US banks to offer a blockchain-powered global remittance capability, making it faster, smarter, cheaper, and transparent. It's funny because it's
all crypto, bro.
That's literally, I was literally about to say, what's funny is like I see all these institutions come out and say they're building something, and I'm like, this already exists. Right. But it's I think we were talking about this on the last show, that all the institutions are going to come in, they're going to pretend that it's their idea to build something, and everyone in crypto is going to be like, dude, this shit exists already. But you got to let them. It's when we were talking about like the private or the public L1s, right? For like Stripe and Stripe's going to come in, try to build their own L1. And we're like, we've been through this enterprise cycle already. So you get like SoFi coming in, they're going to build a remittance network. And it's like, this exists already.
It's literally just a blockchain. That's all it is. Like, dude, you can transfer international payments through a blockchain. That's what
didn't we just get stablecoin legislation? Like, what the fuck is this, dude? This is crazy town. This is literally like crazy town, bro. Wow.
They go on. So the SoFi
is the CEO. Wow, he was part of Libra, the Facebook.
Oh, he was.
So that's pretty cool.
SoFi says for many SoFi members who regularly send money and loved ones internationally, the ability to quick transfer money at low costs isn't just convenience; it's a meaningful improvement to their everyday financial lives. And then David Marcus is the CEO of LightSpark. Interesting.
Right.
He was also Libra, right?
No, that's who I was talking about. Yeah, David Marcus was he was the CEO of Libra, Facebook's stablecoin. So you have to imagine a lot of that infrastructure is going to be going over to LightSpark and now to SoFi, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so SoFi is one of the most innovative and forward-thinking financial platforms in the US today. Digital banks are embracing UMA because it's fast, cheap, and secure. I'm assuming UMA. Oh, that's what their universal money address. So that's their remittance network.
That's their wallet address. Like, I don't know. Their wallet.
It's all it's funny because we've seen this for 15 years in crypto. It's people just taking the same ideas and they're just repackaging it in different marketing vehicles. And this is what's happening now at a just much larger scale. So the question just is, do you just try to buy everything? Because you're like, obviously there's, right, the amount of liquidity that exists outside of crypto is like, what, 50 to 100 times more. And so if you just bet on whatever is like the leading traditional market, You're like, I hope the number just goes up, right? Because that's what all the normies are going to think, because they have no idea that this shit exists already.
Yep. Who knows, man? Who knows? So, but the reality is, this is just timing, right? People have been talking about remittances since the launch of Bitcoin. So it's just, timing's right for them, I guess. Crazy town. I mean, it's literally, wow.
Bitcoin was really good for remittances, and then too many people started using it for remittances, and then transaction fees went too high that it was cheaper to use Western Union. That was like the first narratives, which is pretty funny. And then people don't even really remember the high fee Bitcoin era. Then it went to Ethereum as that. Ethereum used to be the cheap fee to Bitcoin's expensive fee network. And then it literally flip-flopped because nobody used Bitcoin and everybody started using, 10 people used Ethereum.
I've seen so many of these like fee flipping things, whatever, counterparty to Doge party, because, oh my God, it cost me 50 cents to do a transaction. This is fucking bullshit,
Solana's the only one that actually lived up to the promise. Everyone said once, fees are only cheap because you don't have scale. Well, they have scale and fees are still cheap. So impressive work to see someone the plan come to fruition. Never happens.
Yeah, it is. I think I saw the other day, somebody quoted and said like they were at a capacity of doing 100,000 transactions, or their TPS was 100,000 per second. I don't think they actually had 100,000, but they were like, that's what the actual limit had grown to in that point of like high frequency trading or transactions or something like that. So they are doing well. I see as a monad, I was tokenized as a monad card today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Looking jack, dude. I was thinking about putting this PFP so I can have like a cartoon version, but it's purple. So yeah, so now we're seeing, right, like the whole vision of like Monad and Sui is like supposed to be faster than Solana. I don't know if you actually need faster. Do you? I mean, I guess if you're going to compete on like the Visa scale where they're doing, hundreds of thousands of transactions per second, but I don't know. It seems like Solana is filling that void and not letting up on it.
Certainly for right now. I mean, the only time I've seen it in the last 18 months, like was it during the Trump thing where actually you couldn't get transactions through, but maybe that's the only time.
And I think that was on the wallet side, actually. It wasn't even like the blockchain.
Yep.
Impressive stuff. I mean, that was a crazy day. $70 billion in like 24 hours.
That is like an insane amount of volume. But we'll wrap it up here today. It was a good conversation. Migrations going on full force, not going away, only going to continue. Good to see experimentation coming in.
A lot of people using Hustle. The platform. So
yeah, the spend on this is starting to get quite crazy. So good news. We're doing consistently like $25,000 or more per day in trading volume, which is pretty good in this newer days. I'd like to hear from any other competitors out there what their numbers are to see where we match. I feel like it's in the
billions.
top 3.
They do billions per day.
Millions. I saw Newton Protocol. We're now the layer 1 of AI or some shit. I was like, bro, are they going to try and sell a blockchain now? What are they doing, bro? Nope. Oh, it's so good, dude. It's so good.
1 million users every day.
1 million users, 200,000 daily active users. I'll never forget, man.
Until then, everybody continue to hustle on, and we'll see you Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.